Imagine, for a moment, that nothing in the world exists until the moment you perceive it. Sounds absurd, right? But that's exactly how it works. Take this video, for example. Before you hit play, before you're here listening to me, what am I to you? Absolutely nothing. I'm not an idea, a memory, or even dust in your consciousness. I only came into existence the very moment you perceive me. At that moment, your world expanded to include me. Fascinating and unsettling, don't you think? Now, reflect on this for a second. Everything around you, everything you believe to be solid and real, only exists the moment you interact with it. And in the same way, everything disappears the instant you stop paying attention. Want a practical example? Think about your elementary school gym teacher. Where was this person before I mentioned them? For you, they didn't exist. They weren't an active memory, a concern, or a thought. They simply weren't in your realm of perception. This means that the world, as you know it, materializes and vanishes constantly, moment by moment, depending entirely on your perception. This idea not only challenges what we believe to be reality, but also flips how we view our own existence. Let's go further. If nothing exists until it's perceived, does that mean you only exist when someone perceives you? Are you like an echo, reverberating only as long as someone listens? And what happens when there's no one to hear, to see, to sense your presence? Do you simply cease to exist? These questions aren't just philosophical provocations, they push us to examine something deeper, the meaning of our existence. If perception gives life to the world, then everything we experience, everything we believe, everything we create is shaped by what we perceive and how we perceive it. And that gives us a power we often overlook, the power to choose where we focus our attention. Here's where it gets even more fascinating and unsettling. Think about all the times you were lost in thought, daydreaming, immersed in a memory or fantasy. In that state, where was the world around you? It simply ceased to exist for you in that moment. Because while you were in your inner world, the outer world was nothing more than a blur in your perception. What does this teach us? That the world isn't fixed, permanent, or solid. It's fluid, ever-changing, shaped by your consciousness every second. You are the creator of your reality. But here's the scary part. If you're not paying attention, other people, other influences might shape your reality for you. Think about that for a moment. How many times have you let others decide what's important to you? How often have you allowed others' opinions to influence how you see yourself, how you see the world? The problem with allowing this is that you hand over control of your very existence. You give the keys to your perception to people who may not understand or value who you are. Now, let me ask you a question that could change everything. When was the last time you truly paid attention to what's around you? When was the last time you realized with absolute clarity that the world is a blank canvas and you hold the brush? Because once you understand this, you stop being a passive observer and become the author of your story. Now, I want you to visualize something. Close your eyes if you can, and think of a moment when you felt absolutely alive, as if the entire world was pulsing around you. Do you know the secret of that moment? It was your perception. You were present, completely immersed in the now. And that's what makes life worth living. Not what happens, but how you perceive what happens. At the same time, this is what makes everything feel so fragile. Because if perception is everything, what happens when it stops? When we stop perceiving, the world ceases to exist for us. And when our consciousness ends, when our last thought fades, the world disappears with it. It's a thought that may seem dark, but is also incredibly liberating. Liberating, because it reminds us that as long as we're here, we have the power to create, explore, and give meaning to every moment. Liberating, because it shows us we're not bound by a fixed destiny, but can reshape the world around us at any moment simply by changing how we perceive it. So I challenge you, start paying attention. Notice what you usually ignore. Bring to life what seemed not to exist. Give meaning to what felt empty. And most importantly, remember that you are the creator of your universe. The world exists because you're here to perceive it. And as long as you're here, you have the power to shape it, recreate it, and make it exactly what you want it to be. So, what will you perceive from now on? Life is a game of perception, and you set the rules. If what you heard here resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Together, we'll keep uncovering the mysteries of the mind, the universe, and everything that exists, or comes to exist when you choose to perceive it. Reality is in your hands. See you in the next video.